Yeah, I mean, definitely coming off last season, feel good, but you try to just put that behind you. Of course, Coach Hatcher's talked to us a lot about how it's a new season. We have a completely different team. The team that we had last year is not, of course, not the same team, and then every team that we play will also have a new team. So kind of going into that, the mindset is just that it's a new year, it's a new team, so we have to kind of come together as that new team and focus on our goal and not really live in the past. Past successes, of course, we have a combination of a lot of new players that kind of comes into effect. The fact that like you have to kind of rebuild that team camaraderie that you may have had last year, and then just kind of focusing on how the guys that have come back can continue to grow and lead the new guys that bring everyone along, so that we're all kind of going in the same direction.
How do you kind of, after a season like last season, of course you want to keep things fresh, but also that was successful for a reason. How much of it is, if it's not broke, don't fix it, versus, okay, let's switch some things up this year going into the season?
Yeah, I definitely, so for me personally, I think it's one of those questions of like, if you don't, if you kind of just decide, you don't ever stay the same. You either grow or you get worse, I guess you could say. So, coming with a mindset that you can't just do the same thing because other teams are going to be changing, and so you have to change too as well. You have to push to be better. Okay, so we took a first step last year in achieving the conference championship and then going into the postseason, but we didn't accomplish our goal. We had ended our season in North Dakota State, and of course that's lit a fire under us. One, to be back to the conference championship, but as well look into the postseason and just to get to that national championship game. So obviously we have not arrived in that aspect. We have a lot more work that we can do. So in that aspect, it definitely has been, for me, it's been they pushed us a lot harder this season than they did last year, and I felt like they really pushed us hard because they know where we need to get, and we know now after being in the postseason where we need to be at too as a team. And if we hope to accomplish our goals, what we have to do now, the work that we have to put in now to achieve those goals. So it's definitely been one of those things that we've been putting a lot more work. They've been pushing us just a little bit harder because we know what it takes to get where we want to be.
I know you're focused on short of week one, but that Auburn game week 3 is a lot of local interest in that. And just talk about that opportunity to play an in-state team. And you guys have played teams like Florida and Georgia really tough as an FCS school. So just talk about the opportunity you have going into Jordan Hare Stadium week 3.
Yeah, definitely exciting. I mean, it's always cool, as a kid, I grew up a Tennessee fan, which I don't know if I'll receive a little bit of hate from that, being in Alabama, but grew up a Tennessee fan. So you watch all those schools. I mean, I've watched, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, all those teams play. So it is always a cool opportunity to go into those stadiums, to get to play on pretty much the biggest stage that, you'll get at this level. And it definitely is a really awesome opportunity. It's always exciting every year. I have a bunch of Auburn fans in my family, so I have a bunch of them that are trying to get tickets and come down to the game. So it's exciting, and too, just to be able to, I guess, put your team out on the field with those other teams, just so that we can compete with them in those aspects. And so I'm definitely excited about that, but of course focused on week 1 first, and we'll get there eventually, but definitely been watching shorter film right now. So really focused on shorter right now. But yeah, it is exciting, cool opportunity. So,
what's the ceiling for this year's team? Do you feel like this team can get back to the playoffs?
I do. I think so. I think we've got a lot of key players returning from the past season. I think we also brought in a lot of new players that will really help out this year. I think it's kind of, as Coach Hatcher said, that we've got a lot more depth, and I think that's important, especially getting into the postseason after you've played a full season, to get into those where everyone's good. Once you get to the playoffs, like, it's not like there's not an easy game. Everyone there is good. There's a reason that everyone's in the playoffs, and so to have that depth coming in there, that's important. But I think just the players that we've brought in, as well as the guys that we have in right now, will help us to I guess kind of carry into the postseason, and I do feel like we have the guys in the right place to make another run in the playoffs. Of course, like I said, that's 3-4 months away, so that's a while away, and we don't know that yet. So we're focused on week 1 and shorter, and so yeah, excited about that.
Athletes always say you learn a lot in failure, but what did you learn specifically from the success of last year?
That's a good question. I think it definitely showed us where we can get to. Coming here, I think my first couple years it was just like win the conference championship, just kind of get back to like winning the conference championship. And then after doing that last year, and then kind of going into the postseason and kind of seeing what that's like, that like some of these players hadn't ever seen that before, whether they've been here for 1 year or 5 years, that was a new, new kind of experience for for our team. I think it just kind of shows that like, okay, we see that we can do that now. Like we saw what we did last year and what it took and like the work that we put in the postseason and how far we got. So now we kind of understand that like, okay, if we want to take that next step, if we want to get to that championship game, that we just need to push a little bit harder, and we need to understand that if we want to be better than last year, we're going to have to put in more work. It's kind of what you say, you put in what you get out. And so I think we just have understood that we need to put in a lot more if we want to get out a lot more in this season. So,
what's your personal motivation? Like, what motivates you this season?
There's a lot of things. My family supports me a lot. I just got engaged not too long ago. My fiance's been very supportive of me. She always tells me to put someone on their butt every day. So I have that. Just a lot of support from my family. But for the season, there's a lot of outside motivation that kind of comes into play that I won't necessarily name. But just I want to be the best player I can be, and whatever that turns out being, that's that. But at the end of the day, I think that we had the ability last year to make a run, and a run deeper than we did. And this year, I think we do too. And so, I'm really motivated by my brothers. Going out there every day, working out with them, whether it's we're sweating, dying on the field or whatnot. It really motivates me to see everyone really come together and like you're working through it together. As a team, and just to have that support from each other, support from our coaches, that they are pushing us, but they want the most out of us. And so that it really motivates me to like, you have those brothers that you work with, and it's a bond that's created that I really can't describe. I've never had a bond like that before, other than the guys that you are out there sharing that experience with. It's really hard to describe, but it's just one of those things that brings us together.
What was more nerve-wracking, taking the field against North Dakota State or proposing?
That's tough. North Dakota State, you get out that late in the season, you definitely you've done it a few times, it was definitely like you get like nervous, but I would say proposing just because, I knew she was going to say yes. I had a good feeling she was going to say yes. There's always, I guess, that 0.1%, whatever. But my heart was beating out my chest when I was about to ask her. So I would probably say that was definitely the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. So, yeah.
When's the wedding? Do you have a date?
Yeah, January 3rd of 2025. So a little while away, but trying to get done with finish football and everything before going to that. So, Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.